Now, when we graph logs, um, we're going to be able to take advantage that logs and exponentials are inverse functions of each other. And remember, if they're inverses, that means they reflect over the line y equals x. That means that your domain and range switch. Now remember, with exponential functions, our domain was negative infinity comma infinity. Our range was 0 comma infinity unless we had some transformations, and we had an asymptote at y equals, in this case, 0. Now if we're switching the x and y because these are inverses of each other, what that means is that your domain is now 0 comma infinity, and your range is now negative infinity comma infinity. And instead of your asymptote being y equals 0, it is x equals 0. So we're using that idea of inverses to help us build background knowledge for logarithmic functions. And our table, when we construct the table, we're going to use the same ordered pair, but switch them. Now let's look at the next page to see what we're talking about. Because remember, for exponential functions, the table was 0 comma 1 and then 1 comma b were our 2 points. You see that they've switched. And like I was saying, our a, h, and k are back, and they still do the exact same thing as they've always done. So let's graph a couple of these, and I'm going to leave you guys to graph a few. Y equals log of 2x. So our a value is an invisible 1 out in front. Our b value is our base of the log, which is 2. Our h value in this problem is 0, and our k value is 0. Our asymptote is x equals 0. Our domain is going to be 0 comma infinity, and our range is going to be negative infinity comma infinity. So this is going to be different because this is we've only had 2 functions that have had a domain that wasn't negative infinity comma infinity. This is one of them. Notice x equals 0, our h is 0, our domain is 0. All those go together. So when we shift left and right, all of those are going to change with it. All right, now for our table, like I was saying up above, we're going to have 1 comma 0 and then b comma 1. Our b value here is 2, so 2, 1. And then we would have that third row for a times y. In this case, it is just 1. And then we graph these points. So we have 1 comma 0 and then 2 comma 1. So our logarithmic graph would look like this. And our asymptote is at x equals 0. So we draw that asymptote. Now I'm going to do this one down here, and then I'm going to have you try both of these over here. Our a value is an invisible 1. Our b value is 3. Our h value is the opposite of that, so 1. And our k value is positive 2. Our asymptote is going to be at x equals 1, that k value. Our domain is going to be 1 comma infinity. And then our range is always going to be negative infinity comma infinity. Now our table, x, y, we have 0 comma 1 and then base 3 comma 1 comma 0 and 3 comma 1. 1 comma 0, 3 comma 1. But we're going to move each point right 1, and up 2. So right 1 and up 2. Right 1 and up 2. And our asymptote is at x equals 1. So here's x equals 1. There's our asymptote. So then our graph looks like that. So just trust in the process. You do know all of this stuff. This is nothing really new. You know how to make this table. It's the same table as exponents. You just flip them. Our asymptote is now vertical, and we've done vertical asymptotes before in the rational functions. So just because this isn't exactly what we've done before doesn't mean you are unable to do it. Just stop, slow down, think a little bit, and you'll be able to try the other two. So pause the video, try the other two. When you're done, you can compare your answers to mine. All right, so here is the graph for the first one. Notice how the shape looks a little bit different than our other one. That is because of this 1/3. So it's okay that your graph looks like this. And then down here is a different base, a base of 1/2, and then we are shifted down 3. So this is what your graph will look like. So that's why I was saying this A, H, and K stuff is always going to be with us, and they always do the exact same thing in all of these. So the sooner that you understand how A, H, and K go together, the easier all this graphing will become. So thanks for watching this video. Make sure to like it and subscribe.